Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina is America's largest home, and it is incredible. But is it worth the steep price of admission? I'll take you through the grounds and the house for an overview of the self-guided tour, tell you how much it costs, what you get for your money, and give you my opinion on the value of it. Stick around to the end for my 3 best suggestions on how to get the most out of your trip to Biltmore if you decide it's for you. Now, I invited Chris to come along on this trip to Biltmore, and he politely declined.
I did. Sometimes I'm sorry I did, but I just did not feel the price of admission and the time that it took out of the day to visit the grounds and the home. I decided I would rather go play golf, and I could probably have played golf 2 times rather than going to the home. I decided to pass on that one.
So, we're going to send Chris on his way for this episode. Bye-bye. So the day we went to Biltmore, Chris dropped me off early in the morning so that I would have time to see the grounds before my scheduled tour of the house. With amazing architecture, world-class gardens, priceless art, and furnishing, Biltmore Estate was built in the late 1800s by George Vanderbilt, the son of an American industrialist. The house, a French Renaissance chateau, sits on 8,000 acres of gardens and grounds in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It was landscaped by Frederick Law Olmsted, who also designed New York City's Central Park and the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. There are both formal and informal gardens, a conservatory, and over 20 miles of hiking and biking trails. There's also Antler Hill Village, which includes accommodations, shops, restaurants, a pub, and the most visited winery in the United States. The grounds also include an equestrian center, an exhibition center, a dairy, and a farmyard with animals. The grounds are massive, and the area around the house is filled with stunning sculpture, landscaping, and fountains. The house, in its chateau-esque style, is built on a steel framework with brick walls and a facade of limestone, which came from our home state of Indiana. It was built in 6 different sections, divided by brick firewalls, because it was electrified from day 1. It seems that George Vanderbilt's father, William Henry Vanderbilt, was an early supporter of Thomas Edison. The self-guided tour comes with an audio tour that was very helpful in guiding me through the house. They didn't permit video footage, but regular photos were okay. So I set my iPhone on live photos, which gave me about a 3-second clip with them. This tour encompasses the better part of 3 of the 4 floors of Biltmore, plus the basement, and it takes about 90 minutes. Let's have a look. On the first floor, we saw the amazing winter garden, which is a solarium filled with plants and a fountain. Then they led us through the billiard room to the amazing banquet hall, which is 2 stories high and has 1 wall with 3 massive fireplaces. Then we were on through the breakfast room, the salon, and the music room, which was never finished during George Vanderbilt's lifetime. We also went through the gallery, the den, and into my favorite room in the house, the library. It was full of dark wood with a 2-story ceiling, a spiral staircase, and a balcony around the outside. Now, the spiral staircase led up to an entrance to the 2nd floor hall where all the guest rooms were, so that guests could come down during the night to get a book to read and not disturb the rest of the people in the house. I did think it was funny that they had this religious carving in the library. You notice the saint is in the classic librarian pose. Then we were back out to the staircase, which is amazing. This spiral staircase has a huge chandelier hanging in it that's almost 4 stories high. The staircase is not only gorgeous from the inside, but also from the outside of the building. They also have 2 electrified elevators in the house. Up to the 2nd floor, we saw the 2nd floor living hall, because, you can't just have a living room in a house this size. You have to have a living hall. In this room were life-size commissioned portraits by the famous artist John Singer Sargent, of Frederick Law Olmsted, the landscape architect, and of the house architect, Richard Morris Hunt. Also on this floor were George and Edith Vanderbilt's bedrooms, his in stunning shades of red and hers very elegant in gold and cream. They were joined by a private oak sitting room, which was kind of their own personal space. Up the stairs we went again to the third floor, where we saw the third floor living hall. This was mostly used by guests to the house, as most of the guest bedrooms were on this floor, and we toured through numerous guest bedrooms. Now this tour skips the fourth floor, which is servants' rooms and access to the rooftop observatory, but you can do that as a separate guided tour. Then we were down the back staircase to the basement. In the basement we could see brick and stone construction of the building clearly. There we also saw the recreation areas, which included a private bowling alley, a gymnasium with all of the latest equipment for that age, and another of my favorites, the 70,000-gallon indoor heated pool with underwater lighting. This was one of the first indoor pools in the U.S. Also located in the basement were pantries and storage area, multiple kitchens, and servants' quarters. There was also a huge laundry because, you know, when you have this many guests, all that bedding and all those tablecloths and napkins are not going to wash themselves. Then we headed up the back staircase to finish our tour by seeing the bachelor wing, which had a secret entrance from the billiard room. In that wing, we saw the smoking room and the gun room. After finishing the house tour, I took a quick spin through the old stable, which is now a set of shops and restaurants, and headed over to catch my shuttle bus so I wouldn't be late for my scheduled wine tasting. Now, if you're enjoying this video and you're new to our channel, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe. This lets us bring you more content, and we'd really appreciate your help. I headed over to the winery, and while I was waiting for my tour to start, I took a look around the shop. Remember those lions we saw? Those lions from the front of the building, they're up to no good at the winery. There was also a beautiful collection of stained glass, which told about the Vanderbilt's history of hospitality. I headed into the winery then, which gave us a chance to taste several of their wines. We got to choose a tasting of 5 different wines off the list, and they were really good. So even though Chris didn't come with me, I did bring him a little something. So now for the bottom line. What did it cost, and was it actually worth it? Ticket pricing is based on the season, the day of the week, and the type of access you have. Now, holiday weeks and weekends and the Christmas season tend to be prime time, so they're much higher. And add-ons like guided tours to different parts of the house, a shuttle bus to get you from someplace other than the parking lot around the estate, special exhibitions like the Italian Renaissance Live or the upcoming Chihuly exhibit will really jack up the price of your visit. I went to Biltmore on a Wednesday in the summer, but because it was the week of the 4th of July, the American Independence holiday, it was at prime time. My ticket included admission to the grounds, the gardens, Antler Hill Village, a self-guided tour of the house, the audio tour, and a wine tasting. I was there all day, and I barely scratched the surface of the grounds. My fee for the ticket was a little over $100. Now, in addition to that, because I didn't have a car, because Chris had dropped me off, I had to pay for a shuttle bus ticket for the day, which was $15 extra. The lowest priced tickets in the winter, off-season, start at $70. The highest priced tickets, if you go at Christmas time and you get the Guest of the Vanderbilts package with reception and the candlelight tour of the house, you can pay over $400. So, is it worth the money? Well, I have no doubt that Chris would have said no, but it depends on what you're interested in. If you're a fan of the history of the American Gilded Age, of architecture or fine art, of gardening or landscaping, or if you just like to see the lifestyles of the rich and famous or Downton Abbey, and if you've never been to Asheville before, then this is the place for you. Now I want to give you 3 tips to make the most of your visit. First of all, do your homework and plan ahead. Buy your tickets online, download the app with an interactive map, or print out a paper map, and come up with a plan. Prioritize the things you want to see because the day goes really fast and there's a lot to see. Number 2, if at all possible, drive yourself because you're not going to have to wait on buses to get you here and there. Also, listen to your bus driver from the parking lot. I tend to be a little impatient, and so I thought maybe I would just walk to the house from the parking lot. Well, the bus driver told me, you can't do that. And I said, why not? And she said, because it's not safe. I figured maybe she was worried about traffic. Oh no, she said, we have bears. Bears? I tend to be pretty skeptical about things. So I pulled out my cell phone, and lo and behold, this is what I found. So thank you so much, Madam Bus Driver, for giving me the heads up and not letting me be a headline on the news and ruining my vacation by getting eaten by bears at Biltmore. Number 3, if you really want to see the place and you can swing 2 days for a visit or a day and a half, your ticket includes a free admission to the grounds on the second day. So if I were you, I would go day 1 and see the house and the areas surrounding the house. Then come back on day 2 and see the rest of the grounds in Antler Hill Village. That way you can really get the most bang for your buck. If you'd like to see what Biltmore looks like at Christmas time, I'll put a link down below in the description to the new movie on the Hallmark Channel called A Biltmore Christmas. Also, if you'd like to know more about the Asheville area, take a look at this video. And if you'd like to see some more fabulous places, take a look at our video on Markree Castle in Ireland right up here. And Chris will be back for the next episode.
Thanks for watching.
And thanks for coming along for the ride.
See you next time.